Aboye, Abosheshe, and Ekabo. Today on Financial Empowerment, we are going to discuss real estate again. This is the third stream that we'd be having on real estate. Uh, Actually, beside the real estate, we've also had shows that speak about budgeting and financial planning. So if you decide you want to purchase a home, this would be an opportunity for you to put all of the information together that we have streamed so far. The last two streams on real estate, the first one was concerning terms used in real estate, and the last show that we did two areas of real estate, which was mainly concerning financing. Today, we are going to deal with the 10 questions that you must ask a seller if you are interested in investing in your own home, your first home, or an investment property. But before we get into any of that, I would like to open by reading an essay IFA from Oyeku Ika. The vulture perches on top of a high wall. Its gaze would cover the city. Its gaze would cover the forest. Cast divination for Sania. Sania, the servant of destiny in heaven. He was asked to offer sacrifice. Everybody had chosen what he or she would become during his or her subliminal stage. When coming from the city of heaven, he was asked for what to do. Do you know what? They said. Oren Miller is the one that knows no other thing except sacrifice. All those things which man chooses as destiny, that is bad. It is he that would use sacrifice to mend it. They said, Sania, to go and offer sacrifice to his Ori. It is their Ori that would be against them. They would say it is Ifa. He performed the sacrifice and life pleased him. They retraced their steps to the right way. They said it was exactly what their Babalawo predicted. The vulture perches on top of a high wall. Its gaze would cover the city. Its gaze would cover the forest. Cast divination for Sania. Sania, the servant of destiny in heaven. He was asked to take care of the ground and offer sacrifice. They would say it is Ifa. Sania, if their Ori is against them, they would say it is Ifa. Sania, so it is their Ori that is against them in the earth. All right, so that is the essay Ifa for today, and it was taken from Oyeku Ika. All right, so today, as I've mentioned, it's financial empowerment, and we have covered already two streams on real estate. The first stream being the terms, the second stream being the financing. And we also gave some tips for purchasing your first home or property. Now, today, we're at the stage we talk about pre-financing, we discussed all that stuff, good stuff already. So today now, we are going to discuss questions that you must ask a seller whenever you are going to purchase a home. The first question on the list that you're going to ask the homeowner is, why are you selling? Okay, this may seem an obvious question. Well, they want the money. Well, not always, because a lot of times people sell the property for a lot of different reasons. But let me read the explanation that is being offered here. There are many reasons why people move, including job relocation, desire to get into a smaller or larger home, life events such as marriage, birth of a child, or death of a spouse, or other reasons, and retirement. While you may not always get a truthful answer, asking why the seller is moving can be helpful in determining how much room there is for negotiations. Depending on the reason for moving, the seller may be willing to accept a lower offer if it means they can be out of the home faster. Of course, if the seller is in no hurry to sell, there may be a little room for negotiations. All right, so the first question again is, why are you selling? So that's the very first question you would ask the homeowner, right? And the explanations were just given. The second question you may want to ask someone who is selling their home is the length of time that the home has been on the market for sale. All right, or how long now have you decided that you wanted to sell your home? All right. Now, one of the primary reasons a house end up staying on the market a long time is that it was priced too high to begin with. This mispricing is often a function of a poor strategy. The longer a house stays on the market, the harder it becomes to sell, since the listing becomes stale and buyers think that there must be something inherently wrong with the property, otherwise it would have been sold a long time ago. If the home has been on the market for a long time, the seller may be motivated and more willing to negotiate. All right, so that is a very logical explanation. All right, because if you see in this house for say long time and for some reason nobody seems to want to buy it, yes, you would think something has to be wrong. All right, so the second question again that you would want to ask is, how long has the home been for sale, or the length of time that the house has been on the market. All right. The next question you may want to ask is if there was a previous selling price. Now, it's obvious if you have been checking the listings, you would have seen if this said property was being repeatedly advertised, right? So you may want to ask, even though you may have a clear idea, as to what was the previous selling price. All right. So the explanation is this: knowing how much the seller paid is helpful for a couple of reasons. First, it tells you if values in the local market has gone up or down since the seller purchased the home. Second, it may help you determine how open the seller may be to negotiate. And here is why. If the seller brought the home at rock bottom, they may be more willing to move down on price since they will still make a reasonable profit. If your seller purchased the home for close to or more than the asking price, however, they probably won't be willing to move much, if at all, on the price. If the seller won't tell you what they paid, you can find out by checking the public records. They are available. Well, they are available through the different government agencies, all right, in the country where the property is located. All right. So question number 3 would be the previous selling price, right? But by that question, what they are referring to is what the seller paid for the property. All right, the fourth question that you would want to ask is what is included in the sale. By this, there you would be asking about, this is the explanation, anything that is permanently attached to the home. For example, faucets, cabinet, windows, blinds is considered a fixture and is generally included in a home sale. Sometimes legal definitions determine what is and what is not included in the sale, but sometimes an item can fall into a gray area, meaning that you may not be sure. When in doubt, to avoid disappointment, ask what's included in the sale and get it in writing. Pay close attention to items such as outdoor play equipment, sheds, light fixtures, appliances, window treatments, wall mounts, sound system, and anything else you would be upset to find missing if you moved into the home. All right, this is important for you to pay attention to. In many real estate markets, a light fixture is considered a part of the house. If the seller is taking it because it's an expensive chandelier, for example, he must replace it with at least a basic fixture. All right, I'm not sure how that works in Trinidad, but I'm sure that would apply for most other countries. All right, it's basically what you see is what you get. All right, so again, that question number 4 is what is included in the sale? All right, so the 5th question you would want to ask the seller is about area nuisances or problem neighbors. Yes, you definitely would want to ask that, because you don't want to buy a house next to a madman or a mad woman. So you would want to ask the neighbor about any nuisances or problems in the neighborhood. All right, the explanation reads, neighborhoods can be affected by a number of nuisances, including speeding on the community streets, traffic congestion, noise from traffic, neighbors barking dogs, or nearby businesses, crime, bothersome odors including cigarette smoke, litter, poor maintenance, bright lights, and problem neighbors who cause disturbances. While you may not get a particularly detailed answer, it is a good idea to at least try to find out about any problems before going through with a purchase. In addition to asking the seller about nuisances, you can visit the local police department to research crime statistics for that neighborhood. All right, I think these are very important question that you should ask. All right, you don't want to purchase a house and then the neighbor have a small welding factory going on. So all 12 in the night you hear in the grinder and the ponging hammers and all that sort of a thing. All right. So question number 5 is area nuisances or problem neighbors. The next question you would want to ask, question number 6, is about things such as lead paint and natural hazards. All right. The explanation is as follows. Disclosure statements serve to inform buyers about a home's condition and help protect sellers from future legal action if problems are found. While disclosures vary by state and even county, sellers must make disclosures about such items as existing liens, lead-based paint, natural hazards such as floods and all that sort of a thing, termite problems, history of property line disputes. All right, that would go with existing liens also. But all of these that is being mentioned, these 2 things that has been mentioned so far, has to deal with what is called a cloud of title, cloud on title, or cloud of title, that is normally dealt with by the company that deals with the titles. All right, so and defects in major systems or appliances. All right, well, in Trinidad, when you buy a house, you don't get appliances, but this would apply to the United States and other places where this stream is being viewed. All right, it makes sense to ask about all of them just in case, because there may be problems with the house that the seller knows about but is not required by law to disclose. It can be helpful to ask point blank, are there any potential hassles with this house? You might find out about problems ahead of time and be able to negotiate repair costs. Of course, you should still get a little comprehensive inspection before buying the house, since there might be issues the seller doesn't know about or won't be willing to share. Now, we spoke about that last week. We talk about when you're doing the house inspection that you should at least work with some sort of professional person or some expert in the field of construction, plumbing, electrical, whatever. Maybe a general contractor might be someone who would have pretty good ideas about all of the above. All right, so question number 6 was whether there would be things like lead paint or any natural hazards. So the next question you would want to ask is about any past problem condition that the house may have had. All right, while this is the explanation, while disclosure rules vary from state to state, home sellers generally must tell you about any current problems with the property, but they do not have to tell you about any past problems that have been corrected if it's already fixed. Why is it important to know? Because it might lead to another problem in the future. A leaky roof might have been repaired, for example, but what was done about the water that ended up in the attic? So ask if the seller has had to fix any problems with the house and how well the solution worked. It is also helpful to find out who did the work in case there is a similar problem in the future. So, question number 7 that you would ask the seller is about any past conditions, especially if it was some major repair. You should ask, have you done any repairs recently before you made the decision to sell the house? Or even, have you made any repairs after you've made the decision to sell the house? But the bottom line is you want to know if any recent repairs has been done on that home before you purchase it. All right, the question number 8 is age of components. All right, ask about the age and condition of key components of the house so you are prepared for any big expense you may be facing. All right, these would be questions like plumbing and electrical. When last you had the house rewired? When last you had any major plumbing repairs done? Because these things, if you purchase a house and you have to redo these things, it's going to cost you, well, I don't want to say an arm and a leg, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. So you would want to ask the question of how old these, especially the essential things in the house, how long ago have they been done? Have they been, things of that nature. All right, but the area, what you try to do when you're asking about these things is you don't just ask a general question, but what you do is you start with the roof and you go all the way down to if the house has a basement. So you're using a methodical approach to ask the question. So basically, the first place you may want to ask about is about the roof. If it has any leak within the last couple of years and if you've had to repair it, what material you had to use, etc., etc. Why it is you needed to do that repair. All right, so now one of the things you need to know if you have a home or if you're about to purchase a home that the roof has shingles on it, you gotta know that shingles last between 15 to 20 years. So you may want to ask a question concerning when was the last time, particularly if the house looks like it has some age, you will want to know when was the last time they had the shingles repaired or replaced. All right. Um, for places in the temperate zone, you would want to ask about heating, right, and cooling too for during the summer. And for places that are in the tropics, you would want to ask about the cooling system or the air conditioned system. All right. Water heater, septic tank, right? Plumbing, electrical system. So that would be the extent of the questions that you would ask concerning the age of the components. Now, the ninth question you want to ask is going to be concerning major repairs and renovations in some cases. All right, so this question varies from the one previously asked at number 8. This one includes the whole conversation about renovations. All right, this is the explanation. Bad renovations, sketchy plumbing, and mediocre construction can end up costing you both financially and emotionally, and even in terms of your health. It is important to ask if any major repairs or renovation has been done to the home and who did them. Was it a licensed contractor or was it you who do a self-help project, a do-it-yourself type thing? All right. See whether the seller can produce a building permit for the repairs and renovations. That requires one. Well, that is a very big issue, uh, particularly for the United States, because having the licenses to do repairs could be a very technical thing. It could prove to be a great difficulty. All right. Such improvements include any structural additions, installing a new roof, adding and relocating electrical outlets, adding and relocation of plumbing, fixtures, and installing and replacing the heating, venting, and air conditioning system. If the seller doesn't have the building permit, which I just mentioned could be very technical, perhaps the work has to be done by an earlier owner. All right, double check with the local building department, usually through the county or city authorities. If a permit should have been issued but was not, the building official may have the authority to force the current owner, which could be you, if you buy the house, to obtain the permit and satisfy the current code requirement. This could turn into a very costly project. All right, sometimes a person may own a home that isn't. I'm just trying to explain what I just read. Sometimes a person may have purchased a home that had some sort of violation, and you buying that home, you may not be aware of the violation. And the day you buy the property, the next day the county could send somebody to you to tell you this has to be done and that has to be done on the house. So this question here concerning major repairs and renovations would somehow to extend the situations like that. So you may want to also ask if the property has any sort of a violation with any of the authorities that would probably need to be attended to anytime soon. All right. The very last question, number 10, that you would want to ask the seller is what did they like most? All right. This question might put the seller on the spot or seem a touch personal, but it can get the person talking about the home, the neighborhood, the community, and you might learn something positive that you might not have known otherwise. The tight knit community, the short walk to the library, the way the sun shines through the living room window in the afternoon, the low heating bill, or the wildflowers that grow in the summer on the hill behind the house. These might be some of the things the seller might tell you about. All right. So basically, these are the 10 questions that you may want to ask the seller if you are going to purchase a home. So I'm going to just, in brief, I'm not going to read all these explanations again, but I'm just going to read the question. The first question you might want to ask is why are you selling? The second question, the length of time the house has been on the market. third question, what was the previous selling price? The fourth question, what is included in the sale? The fifth question, the area nuisances or problems in the neighborhood. Question number 6, whether there is lead paint or any natural hazards in the house. And the seventh question is if there were any past problem conditions. And number 8 is the age of the components. Number 9, major repairs and renovation. And number 10, what did you like most about your house? All right. So these 10 questions are the questions that you would want to ask when you're going to purchase someone's house. All right. And this concludes today's stream. We weren't very long, we were pretty brief, and we just dealt with the 10 questions that you would need to ask the seller of a home if you are going to purchase a home for the first time, or even if it's your first investment property. All right, I want to thank you for viewing, and when you're through viewing the video, I would like you to subscribe, like, or share. And with that, I would like to say Odabo and see you next week.